And I think by this museum is like an extension of that in a way. We really invite other schools to come to learn about how much we all have in common, how much we share.
中国武术是一门古老而讲究的艺术，它经历了千百年的演变和传承，不断地在中国文化中发挥着重要的作用。如今，在全球范围内，中国武术的影响力已经不断扩大，不仅为体育和娱乐文化注入了新的元素和活力，同时也在跨文化和跨国交流中扮演着重要的角色。中国武术之所以能够在美国文化中发挥重要的作用，正是因为它的深厚文化底蕴和强大的情感力量。中国武术所展现的美学和哲学观念既深刻又简洁，从中我们可以看到中国文化的精髓。在这样一门充满智慧和灵性的艺术当中，人们不仅可以锻炼身体，更可以培养精神，发掘自我潜能。这种文化价值观在现代社会中变得愈发重要，因为它帮助我们面对挑战，勇敢追求梦想。
中国武术是源远流长的，不管是在哪里的人，对于中国武术这个神秘的色彩都一直存在着。不过，当每一年的5月份，也就是 AAPI 的 Heritage Month 的时候，大家都会对武术有一种深层的了解。这种了解其实是根深蒂固的，它根深蒂固到什么样的程度？到底有什么人想要知道武术的秘密在哪里？我们今日一起了解。Michael, first question first. How is this martial arts museum come about?
You know, it was a long process. It really was. I had been doing martial arts since I was 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, and getting into martial arts and, you know, being bullied in school. As I went through martial arts, I wanted to start writing for the magazines, and that's what I did. I went back to school, and I started writing the magazines, and I got a business degree, and I said, you know, I know art, I know style, and I could do a magazine myself. So I did. I started my own magazine. I was doing that for quite a while, and it wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I wanted to focus on history. Magazines were doing other stuff. And one day, someone came up to me and wanted to buy the magazine. I said, sold, right away. And that's when I decided to do a museum. I said, what would be better to keep the history of the martial arts alive? But I knew nothing about a museum. So I went back to the university for another 8 years, learned everything I needed to do to do a museum. And that's when I finished, I said, okay, I'm going to test it out. I'm going to take it on the road as an exhibit. And if people like it, I'm going to go forward with the museum. And that's what I did. Went all over the country as an exhibit, displayed it everywhere. People enjoyed it. And I said, okay. Then I went forward and started the Martial Arts History Museum. That's it in a nutshell.
Wow. Well, you shortened that into 1 minute or 2. That is great. However, dedication with capital letters, how you want to create a museum for martial arts. You did mention you were bullied when you were little.
This guy used to jump on everybody's back. And I was learning judo. You know, back in the 60s, there was judo. That was the only main art. If you were under 16, you couldn't study the art. But I was part of the Japanese Community Center, and they allowed me and my friend to study, and we learned the art of judo. I hated every minute of it. I had to learn for 1 year. My father made me, who learned judo in the 20s, made me study for a year, hated it, I quit. But at that same time, the bully jumped on my back. I flipped the bully. That was it. I was never picked on the rest of my life, and I said, that's it. Martial arts is going to be a part of me. And from that day on, I made it my journey to have martial arts as a major part of and the museum was a nice connection to that.
Yeah, I think at that point on, that definitely changed your life.
Oh, yeah.
May is AAPI Heritage Month, right? From you were little that got bullied. To the point that martial art has changed your life. Of course, things have changed so much. What does AAPI mean to you?
Well, you know, we celebrate Asian Pacific Islanders Month all the time. This is an Asian museum. It's focusing on the positive contributions of the Asian American community. That's what it's about as it connects to the martial arts. We talk about how, you know, immigrants came from Japan, from China, that faced prejudice and racism, came here to America and brought their arts here. And I think it's important that those stories don't get lost. and it's important what they struggled for and how it spread and become a common part of American society. And I think that's important. So we celebrate that the whole year round. We have a museum to enlighten people about our community, about the Chinese and the Japanese and the Korean, all our communities, the things we have done for America and how we change the world. So we celebrate that every day the museum is open. We celebrate that.
That's your representative and you're representing Asian to stand on our ground to make sure people still remember how we come about, how are we going to contribute to our society.
Exactly.
At the same time, people probably will ask you, you don't look Asian too much. How were you being bullied? On top of that, another question probably will be, how can you go back to school for another 8 years?
Well, when you're a little kid, you're bullied. That's just how it is.
True.
I was a skinny, scrawny little kid, and the bigger kids will pick on you. You know, this is part of life.
True.
You know, this part of life. I remember my cousins who are full Japanese, they were picked on because, you know, back then in the early days, but when Bruce Lee came along, they were no longer picked on.
Yeah.
You know, Bruce Lee and other things like that helped change society. Bruce Lee has made such an impact, and I think it's important that the museum make an impact. We really invite other schools to come to learn about how much we all have in common, how much we share. The martial arts is the common denominator. You can do Kung Fu in Russia, in Yugoslavia, in Africa. You can do karate in, you know, different countries. It is the common denominator, and I think if we all connect that way, we'd be a better world. I think if everybody learned martial arts, we'd have a much better world.
I believe so, because everyone will know how to defend yourself at the same time to understand what is the real true art within martial arts.
Exactly.
You did mention a lot of school kids. They do come into your museum and try to learn martial arts. You basically give them a tour, tell them all about martial arts. What is that one thing that impressed them the most?
You know, when kids come here, the schools have to say this. This is the only museum where the kids pay full attention to everything. You know, they're in awe of the weapons and awe of what's happening, you know, and I think that's important. Not only we have weapons, of course, we have kick and punch, of course, but we have more than that. We have Chinese lion dancing. Where did that come from? You know, we have Japanese tea room stuff. We have taiko drums. We have Chinese lion drums. We have musical instruments that teach people about the culture, not just the martial arts, but how it made an impact in China through the Boxer Rebellion, how China was built up with Kung Fu and the Shaolin Temple and the Japanese arts of the samurai. It's important that school kids learn that history. The more we know about each other, the more we'll have in common, the more we can accept each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very proud thing. You know, in fact, just yesterday, the other day when the museum was open, we had teenagers coming here on their own. What teenagers come in here, pay $5 to get here at the museum on their own, you know?
I know.
But here they come. I think that's important that we inspire our youth, and especially the Asian American community, that we make an impact. We really do. We do. You know, we just don't have a spokesman pushing the Asian American community.
The museum that's standing here is working as the spokesperson, you know, telling everyone we do have a common ground that we're standing on.
Exactly. You know, the more we promote it, the more the people will understand. You know, we promote the Obon Festival, we promote the Chinese lions in the community, the dancing, that's all part of it. So when kids come here, not only do they learn about the culture, but they learn of other styles of martial arts. It's just not one style. Not one thing fits everybody. You know, I couldn't stand judo, but I love Kung Fu. You know, Kung Fu is my way of life. It's in me. It's part of me. I've been doing it for 45 years, Kung Fu, and still teach it today. So I can relate. You know, I go to Chinatown, watch the Chinese Kung Fu movies, and I went to Chinese school and all that. It is part of my life. I think other people and other kids can understand maybe Kung Fu is not for you. Maybe you want to do samurai stuff. Maybe you want to do wrestling. Maybe you want to do, you know, Hawaiian stuff. So we give people a variety of things. Maybe I just want to focus on this and focus on that. And I think that makes a better person when learning the martial arts in that way.
Giving the plenty of choices or the option of choosing from, that's another beauty. One last question from me. You did mention that you are a martial art teacher for 45 years.
Yes,
martial art to a lot of people, it's just something that's in the movie, probably will never really be used in real life. If I would ask you as a teacher, martial art or judo or taekwondo. It's a beauty of art. How are you going to describe this art and how are you going to extend this?
I did Japanese judo. You know, I've done Japanese karate, I've done Japanese jiu-jitsu, I've done Filipino martial arts, but I fell in love with Chinese Kung Fu, and I can only speak for Chinese Kung Fu. Kung Fu became a big part of my life. I have never feared anybody since I've learned Kung Fu. It has helped me become a better person. It's helped me develop more understanding. It's helped giving me discipline. It's make me goal-oriented to get to the next level, to better myself. Even though we do forms and weapons over and over, I'm still a student. I'm still learning. I went to the Chinese movies every weekend at Chinatown back in the 70s when it came out. I still can't get enough of the Kung Fu movies. You know, I love them because it provides an inspiration in my life. And I think by this museum is like an extension of that in a way. You know, I love the martial arts, especially Kung Fu. You know, I just love Kung Fu, and Kung Fu just doesn't get enough credit. This museum gives credit to all the Asian countries here, but the main focus is pushing the importance of the Asian community and the impact we continue to make every day here in America. Our movies are changed because of Asian martial arts. Our anime is changed because of martial arts. We have done so much for America, and I think it's important that America learn what we have done, the struggles we face, that we all have put together in this museum. You know, what happened back then, let's not forget about that. Let's not forget about our history. And this is a way of keeping that history alive by having the Martial Arts History Museum.
And definitely do not forget that your passion actually brings on, and everyone's little bit, well, bring on a whole AAPI history.
Exactly,
Thank you so much, Michael.
Exactly. Thank you.
Martial Arts Museum 的馆长 Michael Matsuda 致力于弘扬中国武术至少是45年的时间，在中间的时间当中，他有8年的时间是在致力于研读如何成立一个博物馆的。如今博物馆成立了，有许多人都来到博物馆当中做参观。他最想要的梦想，我相信也是全部的人的梦想，就是有多一点的人可以更加了解亚洲的文化，多一点了解就会少一点仇恨。
AAPI to me means celebrating the positive contributions of the Asian American community and the continual impact they make on Western society.